This is an ArseBrothers production. Follow us on Twitter at the ArseBrothers. Get all our content on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and SoundCloud at ArseBros. And if you like what you hear, don't forget to smash that subscribe button.
Winners win, but we didn't win. We lost. But we lost trying to win, which means that we had a winning mentality, which means that even though we didn't win this time, on another time, we might win. Welcome. It's an ArseBrothers podcast. What do you think, Darren? What do you think?
Oh, very impressed. I just wish you had the same attitude. You tried to cancel this morning because you didn't feel well.
Oh, yeah,
Come on, but you are here, which means that you are a winner, or you are attempting to be a winner, even though we may not win.
Exactly.
And
because Darren, you can't
itself.
win. You can't win unless you try to win. Otherwise, you wouldn't win. Because to win requires not only a desire to win, but a winning mentality. And we didn't win. And I've been quite depressed about it, to be honest, for a couple of days, because I've got all these fucking stupid Manchester United fans, like my mate Alex McRae, who proclaimed, we outplayed you. We outplayed you. We will get top 4. We were the better team. I don't know in what fucking world Manchester United fans think that playing like fucking Stoke City at home against a rampant Arsenal is a winning mentality. And I'm not saying that, they won and they got the goals and they were legitimate goals. But for me, if I were a Man U fan and having been an Arsenal fan who's watched Arsenal fans get pissed off when we played and won with negative football, I don't think that was what... I don't think that that's the style of play that's going to take Man U into a fucking top 4 position. I thought we battered them, Darren. I thought we battered them.
I just thought you should introduce Mike at some stage.
I'm going to. But for those of you watching the podcast, right now it's me, it's Darren, and it's just an ArseBrothers logo. And that's because Mike got caught wanking to Russian fucking video porn, and his wife smashed up his camera, and now he doesn't have a webcam. Isn't that right, Scunny?
Go fuck yourself.
Do you know what I love, Scunny? Your first words this season, the first words since coming back this season are now, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, and it had to be aimed at you, of all the people.
So, to answer your question, hello, Mike.
Hello.
I think the most annoying part of the weekend, if I can, isn't the losing, because we knew we couldn't carry on winning all season, although we had that slight dream that we would. It was who we lost to. We just don't seem to be able to beat up there. They seem to have that time. No matter how well we play, we dominated for long periods. They just seem to catch us on a break and score, and that's the frustrating thing for me, is that it was United. I wouldn't have minded if we'd have got beaten by an informed side like Brighton or someone. We scraped a couple of last-minute or late victories against Fulham, but it was just United. It just makes you feel dirty when they beat us. They just flew in a couple of superstars. First bloody touch and the geezer scores. They just always seem to have the sign over us.
Scunny,
I was going to say, I was just trying to answer from Darren there, but it's sort of inevitable, isn't it? You go up to Manchester, you lose. It happens all the time. We was on that unbeaten run, 48 games. We're going into that 49 games. We're going into that 50th game unbeaten run. And who was it who beat us? Manchester United. It's just it's one of them things that's inevitable. You're on a decent run, 4 games we hadn't lost so far. This time last year, we'd lost all 4 games, I think, at the start of the season. This time round, we're winning all 4 games. It's nice. It's going into the 5th. You're going in with high hopes. You're going in with not really an informed Manchester United. It just sort of inevitable, and it's on the cards that they ended up being the first team that beats us this season.
And it's annoying. It's annoying. It was actually 5 games going into the 6th, and it was annoying that they still aren't that good, and they're going to get better. They've got a decent manager. We know that. We know they're miles behind us in where they need to be. but they've made a couple of big signings. Martinez looks a good player. The new guy they've just paid 80 million for. I hope that's a sort of Pepe signing. A panic, reading what it is at 60 million or 50 million more than he's probably worth at this point in his career.
Second half, we had 45 penalty box actions, and they had 9.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people online were saying, it feels so repetitive. It feels like something that we've seen before, where we've gone and we've said over the years, we were the better team. If we think back to City last year, where we were the better team and we got beat late, I think against Liverpool, we were the better team and we got beat or drew. But I don't think it felt the same, because that didn't feel like sterile domination. That didn't feel like sterile possession to me, Darren. That felt like we were on a level that they could not go with, and the next conceivable place that Arsenal need to go. Now we have all of the pretty play, and we are, a bit bigger and a bit angrier, and the next conceivable place we have to go to get to a level of an old Arsenal team is being deadly and taking our chances. And unfortunately, Darren, we're not deadly.
No. I mean, we're going to have to face this now that over the last couple of years, teams have given us less respect and have had a go at us. I'm talking generally, but how many times did we have that period where teams would just run straight through the middle of us? Xhaka at the pivot, and teams would just demolish us on the counter-attack. And we couldn't break teams down, And now I think we're a lot more likely. I think it was a bit of one of those games where, we didn't play particularly well, but even not playing particularly well, we were still probably the better side on the day.
See, I
but
disagree.
We're going to face
I disagree,
what
Darren.
do you disagree?
Scunny, do you agree with me or do you agree with Darren?
Well, I don't know what the difference is yet.
Well, you said you didn't. You said you didn't think we played particularly well.
I didn't think we. No. I said we weren't playing up to the level that we've been playing in previous weeks. We played okay. We weren't terrible, but we were still better than Manchester United. We were better than them, but it wasn't quite on song, was it? The 1-2s weren't quite coming up. Those 40-odd penalty box moments, we were previous weeks. We were creating opportunities. I don't think De Gea had that many saves to make. We weren't at our best.
No, but
we
that's
were still
where
better.
That's where we weren't deadly. Scunny, for me, we were dancing and they were walking. We were moving the ball around. We had them bamboozled. Some of the movement, some of the vision, some of the heads-up play to get us into the attacking positions were outstanding. For me, some of the best football that we played this season. It's just unfortunate that Saliba has a chance, sprays it. Ødegaard has a chance, doesn't catch it. Saka has a chance, really timid roll. Martinelli smashes one at the keeper with his head and puts one in off a VAR call. Scunny, how did you see it? Did you walk out of that and think that we were dominant?
Not necessarily, no, not as dominant as other games. So I do tend to agree with Darren on that one. A lot of it, yes, we were playing some really nice football, but a lot of it this time round just didn't seem to want to be paying off. There were, these 1-2s weren't paying off as much as what we saw against other teams. So yeah, I do tend to agree with that. But there were moments where we were on the back foot in that game, which I wasn't really going to be. If I'm being honest, I wasn't expecting. I think in the first 15, 20 minutes of the first half, we were on the back foot. So we've got to look at it in the sense of it wasn't an easy game. It wasn't by far what I was expecting. I thought we was actually going to dominate them all the way through it, actually, to be fair, because the way they've been playing and the way we've been playing. But it's, again, like I said earlier, it's on the cards. It's one of them things, isn't it? It's Manchester United. You go up there and they just seem to turn up for Arsenal for some strange reason.
See, I said this in the fans forum. I said this in the fans forum, and everyone was saying 3-1 to Arsenal, 3-1 to Arsenal, 3-1 to Arsenal. I said, I bet you we lose, and not because they're better, and not because we're shit or we're not the real deal this season, but just because it's Man U at Man U, and there's just so much more to it.
Max, there are some things. I mean, you said we played well. There are some things that we've got our rose tinted glasses on, or our cranberry tinted glasses on. we were dominated for the first 15 minutes. We couldn't get our foot on the ball. We couldn't put any passes together. You know, they harried us and rushed us into mistakes. They controlled the first 15 minutes. Then also they went 1-0 up. You know, then we had our period, probably an hour, where we were the better footballing side. And even then they managed to cut through us, hot knife through butter, and scored at will. So I think it's frustration for me. You know, we didn't play quite as well as we were hoping. And they are on a bit of form, and they tactically just cut through us. That worries me, especially with the likes of Tottenham coming up.
Yeah,
because
look, they
Tottenham play like that.
Yeah, they scored at will because of how incredibly dominant we were, and our line got that high because we had so much dominance over such a period of time. Because we didn't put a fucking goal in the back of the net in that time, it just meant that at some point that pressure valve was going to go. And when you've got players like Eriksen who can get on the ball, and players like Bruno Fernandes, and people with rapid speed like Marcus Rashford, that is always a possibility. I mean, our line had gotten just so ridiculously high. I was
just going to say, I've got into the habit of actually rating players on one of the sites. And don't you just think we just dropped from I had everyone at 7s to 8.5 and the odd 9 in there. I think Ødegaard, I gave a 9 last week or the week before. They all just dropped to 7s. You know, we were good. We were up there. We weren't embarrassed. But Martinelli didn't have the same sort of game. Ødegaard didn't have the same sort of game he's been having. Jesus didn't have quite the influence. Xhaka, who's been really good this season, and again wasn't bad.
Do we not expect this against $1 billion squad? Like $1 billion squad with a top manager in a top team at home after they're coming off a bad run. Scunny, I go back to what I've said over the last couple of weeks, and I think there is too much bias towards people thinking that there is one team. There is one team that's playing, and there's one strategy, and the other team is just an AI. You know, Arsenal being in a dominant position, teams have seen how we played, and I think Man U saw how we played. I think they shit themselves. I think they knew they couldn't go with us, and they sat deep and they hit us on the break. And I'm not taking it away from them, Scunny. They were successful in doing it. And they were successful in doing it.
No, I sort of, I can agree with that. You know, like I say, I went into it with this game. I thought we was going to be the better team. We were, in fact, throughout the whole of the game, I think we were the better side. But I'm not going to take that away from the fact that there was a periods of times, like we said earlier, about 15, 20 minutes each half, where we weren't the better side. And I think that's what cost us. And like you said, yes, we did push up too high. We didn't really... I don't know if we took it as the amount of serious... I don't know if it was taken in the amount of seriousness it should have been, in that sort of sense, where we're pushing way too high to what we should have been doing against a team like Manchester United, with their talent in some respect in their forwards. You know, well, they've got a lot of speed, they've got a lot of talent.
Do you think, Mike, then that we didn't respect the point?
Probably, I would probably say, yeah. I'd say that one, we didn't really respect it. Like I say, I think it's a case of, obviously, we probably got a bit too big for our boots on this one.
Yeah,
in that sort of sense. If you get my understanding on that one,
I do. But let me go.
You know,
we've also
hang on. We've also got to look at as well is we've really got to finish our chances when it comes to teams like this. And
do you remember how many conversations we had over the years, Mike, about Arsenal not finishing their dinner?
Yes.
This has been something that has been part of Arsenal's DNA for a really, really long time. And I've said it repeatedly. You know, if you go back to very, very successful Arsenal teams, you know, you had goals coming from Perez, you had goals coming from Bergkamp, coming from Henry, coming from Ljungberg. We would get goals from our centre-backs. We would get goals. Gilberto would pop up with the odd one. Vieira loved a big goal in a big game, even though he didn't get a huge return. You know, we've always had these squads where we could hurt you in lots and lots and lots of different areas. And it doesn't feel like that at the moment because Ødegaard isn't a ruthless finisher. Sambi Lokonga isn't a ruthless finisher. Thomas Partey, when he's playing there, we've seen from him, he's not a ruthless finisher. El Neni doesn't finish. Xhaka only cunts one once a year. I don't think Saka is a natural finisher. I think Saka is always more towards that creative side. And yes, we've got Gabriel Martinelli and we've got, who I thought was the man of the match. I thought he was outstanding, was Gabriel Jesus. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I don't think he lost a duel all day. But there is the next stage for this Arsenal team to move into now, which is to become killers. And I just don't think that, Darren, I just don't think that we're there. I don't think we're killers. And I think that's because we're not men yet. It still feels like, and it should, because we're such a young squad, but we haven't just got that thing yet, which is like chance, sink it, kill the fucking game, move on.
Yeah, I know, but I think it's an unfair comparison when you're talking back at the side and the players that you're talking about. You know, these are young players, and we are seeing goals from Martinelli and from Saka and from Ødegaard and from Jesus. You know, we are seeing these contributions, and that's only going to get better. I honestly think we're going to win a game 5 or 6 in the very near future. I'm hoping it's on Sunday against a fairly poor Everton side. So I think it's a little unfair to do that. And then when you look at, we are a Manchester City light. You know, they go through games, they concede goals. You know, they're conceding goals in most games this year.
Well, they did against Villa. They just dominated Villa, and then ended up with a 1-1.
They have the ability to score those goals, but games like Villa at the weekend, you know, they created many chances, but just had one of those days. And I think that was it a little bit. I don't think we should get too downhearted that we didn't take our chances. You know, Manchester United had to sit deep in their penalty area for about 45, 50 minutes of that game because they couldn't get out. You know, and that's a joy to watch. So, and if you remember, there was a quote from Arteta at half-time. Somebody said, what did he say to you at half-time? And he said, this game is here for the taking. What were we, 1-0 down at the time? This game is here for the taking because, do you know what, we're better than them. And we went out, and maybe we didn't give them respect. Maybe we didn't respect the point. But that's because this team wanted to go and beat them. And I think that attitude is going to be what takes us forward. You know,
well, that was my ramble. That was my ramble at the start, Darren. It was, you know, when I saw those three subs at once, so Nketiah, ESR, and Vieira on, my initial feeling was not one of dread, because I thought we were killing them. I thought it was just death by 1,000 cuts. And I thought, when Arteta did it, I thought that's the balls I want to see from a manager who's like, no, we're going to go out there and we're going to make a statement. You know, a point's not enough because this is our season and we're going to go out and make a statement. And then obviously hindsight kicks in and you're like, well, we didn't respect the point at Old Trafford. And I'm torn between my two emotions of, is that petulant naivety from Mikel Arteta, or is that a sign of someone who's got that fuck you mentality that top managers need to have?
It is interesting, isn't it, that if at 1-1 he'd have taken off Ødegaard and brought on Rob Holding, you know, we may have actually been able to turn the game around the other way, let them come on to us a bit. It wasn't working, and hit them on the break. You know, it's very, very difficult to say what was right and what was wrong. I was surprised that he made a triple substitution, only based on his track record, where he seems to, you know, this season has seemed to leave it really late and then bring on maybe one or two. But I mean, let's, as long as that they haven't lost too much heart from that, because it was painful. We're feeling it, aren't we? How frustrated are we feeling this week? Because
definitely. But it's like I agree in that sort of sense of, obviously, with you know, I'm going with Max on this one, with his sense of when I saw them 3 subs come on, and it's like, right, this is going to go either way. This is either going to be, you know, 3-2.
Death or glory, Mike.
Yeah, death or glory. It's going to be 50-50. Unfortunately, it went against us. And that's probably the worst thing. If it went for us, you know, you got to look at it. This guy's a tactical magician. You know, he smashed it. We smashed Man U. You know, it could have been there. You know, it could have gone either way. Unfortunately, it went the opposite way. But these are the risks that you do have to take in these games, though, sometimes. And I wasn't disappointed that he took the risk. I was thinking, this guy's got some balls. You know, the cojones on this guy at this moment in time. You know, this could go either way. You know, it's not. You know, we wasn't fully dominating. They wasn't fully dominating. It's like, this can go either way. This guy's got some massive, massive balls. He's laid them out all on the table for everyone to see, and unfortunately, he's just got a nail in them. You know, it happens. You know, shit happens. So, It's just the way you got to take it. But I respect the guy. I respect Arteta more for making that decision rather than trying to play it safe in that sort of sense. At least he had the balls to take it out there and go, fuck it, I'm going for it.
Yeah. If you never take your dick out, no one's going to suck it. It's as simple as that. Can't get your dick sucked inside your fucking pants. Just don't take it out.
Sometimes you have to unzip, but when you zip up too fast, it can get caught. It's as simple as that.
It's true. Mikel Arteta does have his erection currently caught in his fucking zipper. But fuck it. Mike.
What I was going to say is what you touched on it earlier. Can we? I don't want to get too embroiled in VAR because this weekend, I'm not really talking about it from an Arsenal point of view, but from a general point of view, it sort of hit breaking point for most supporters and pundits where there were so many ridiculous decisions this weekend. And, it's not the technology, but it's the people that are using it. But I just wanted to touch on, we're 3 days or 2 days after the game now. And I'd like to hear your opinions on when that went to VAR, because let me just frame it into some context. And I've had 2 days to think on it now, but I watched it in a very, very rowdy bar down on the Costa Blanca with my wonderful mates down there at the Arsenal Supporters Club. And the older generation, and when I talk about the older generation, I'm talking about these are 20 years older than me. There was about 10 of them, and I was listening to them talk, and they all said, "Oh, it's a foul, it's a foul, it's a foul." And all of the people nearer my age were screaming at the time, "What the fuck? That's not a clear and obvious, all that sort of error."
So I don't think it's a conversation, Darren, about whether it's a foul or not. I think it's a conversation about whether VAR should be intervening for those things, because there's an element of the game that needs to be left to the game, and there's an element where VAR can be put in place or should be put in place. And I'll go back to Scunny and I when VAR was coming in, Scunny and I did a podcast on Guns and Yellow Ribbons. And there was about 6 of us in the room, and it was only Scunny and I who were vehemently against VAR.
Well, I make that 3 for 3 here then, yeah.
Vehemently against VAR because I had seen it, or because I watch other sports. Everyone knows I'm a big rugby league man. The video referee has really fucked that game, and we're now in our 10th iteration of VAR, and it's just getting worse and more convoluted. So, we always had our colours nailed to the mast in that sense that the unbridled joy that you get from a goal is what makes football. It's what makes sport. And the more instance you have like this, the more it reduces the unbridled joy, the more scar tissue there is, the more people start waiting for the decision. So was it a foul? If the ref had have called it a foul live, no issue at all. It's a soft foul. He's on his way. He's on his way down. He's waiting for the contact, but that is part of football.
Scanny, have you got anything to say on that? Because we don't want to waste too much time on it. And there's a bit I want to say, but where are you on that, Scanny? Are you with Max?
Yeah, well, I've never been a massive fan of VAR anyway. It worked in the World Cup when it first got introduced. Fine, fair enough. But does it work on the day-to-day grassroots football? No, it doesn't. Let's see it as this. The way I saw it and the way I thought it was going to be is VAR is only going to be there for the big decisions, like the big penalty calls, the red card decisions, not something that's not even like I say there. For example, we look at the one that we've just witnessed on, from Erdegaard. Should VAR get involved in something like that? No, they shouldn't. At the end of the day, the ref was there; he could clearly see it. When they did the playback video, and this goes on from just from Arsenal game, goes on throughout the Premiership at the minute. It goes on all the time. VAR should not be getting involved in them decisions. VAR should be there for the big decisions, and that's it.
Refereeing is subjective.
Yes, of course.
And all you're doing with VAR is taking someone's subjective opinion and then applying someone else's subjective opinion, which then makes the person, hold on, Darren, it then makes the person who made the decision in the first place question their decision. And the final thing I say is, and this is something that they're talking about in rugby league this year, is they're talking about removing slow motion replays from the box in VAR. Because if you fucking slow something down far enough, you will find something. And they're saying, no, it needs to be looked at in the light of day. Now, I'll just say this is my one thing, and then I'm done with it.
Good.
I'll fix VAR today. So VAR should only be for penalties. VAR should be for offsides, but there should be a resistance on offsides, like a line twice as thick. And the only time VAR can come in is if it is outside of that resistance, which means it is clear. It is a clear offside, because we can't even slow the frames down enough to the millisecond that would require a fucking nat stick. Everything else, VAR can go and fuck itself. That's the only thing I want them to do.
This is why I asked the question, Max, is that don't you think, I don't know if you've seen all of the decisions this weekend. I mean, there were some ridiculous decisions, a couple in Newcastle, one against the West Ham one was ridiculous. You know, we've seen some very, very, very strange decisions. The Arsenal one was not anywhere near as controversial as ones that we've seen. But I just think they may just have to fix VAR based on this weekend, because everyone, you know, from us supporters, the players and the pundits have all just gone, hang on, this isn't any good for the game. You know, when it came out, my statement was, we are only going to stop. I've spent years watching football where we've slagged off a referee on Saturday night or after the game, and now we're just slagging off VAR. We've just moved that point of contention. We haven't improved the game.
And we removed our joy.
And if we look at, it's an entertainment sport, and we're trying to withdraw the entertainment. It's a very strange thing. And I think something will happen now. The goal, the Arsenal one, just for my 2 penneth, the Arsenal goal at the weekend, if you look at the referee's positioning when he allows the play to play on, he's 5 or 6 yards away from that tackle. He has seen it. He has decided it's soft. The instruction is to let the game flow more. We know that was it Ericsson went down too easily, so therefore I'm going to play on. There was no need for him to change his decision. He just lacked. And what happened?
Well, this is my argument
to be crowded as well, Scunny. You know, there was this whole thing where it's like 10 fucking Man U players surrounding the referee. So they're putting the pressure on him to go over there regardless, and he's got to go look at the screen.
Well, this is my argument, and this is why I'm saying VAR should only be there for the big decisions. It shouldn't be there for something like that. Like Darren said there, and I said it as well. You know, the referee he could see it clearly. He could see it better than what he saw it on the TV screen when he went to go have a look at it. It's as simple as that. And this is 9 times out of 10 the case for every single time these crazy decisions happen. The referee can see it more clearly when it's in front of him than he can do on the TV screen that he has to go and have a look at. VAR should not be getting involved in them decisions. It ruins the game. It ruins everything about it. And not only that, yes, it ruined our day because that was our goal at the end of the day. You know, Martinelli scored an absolute blinder of a goal. But it's just one of them things that is just something that it shouldn't happen. And it goes throughout the whole of the Premiership. And these are the things that are really starting to wind me up about VAR. And this is the reasons why when it first come in, Max, this is what we were saying all along. These are the things that will happen. You know, they're going to get involved in every decision making. They're going to get involved in everything that they don't need to be involved in. And this is the problem. You know, the referee is what we got told. The referee makes the last decision or the final decision. Let the referee make the final decision. He's already made his decision on the pitch. You don't need to go have a look at a TV screen once he's made his decision. Simple. You know,
I understand for something like a penalty.
Yeah, that's why I said big decisions.
I understand that, and I don't think that VAR should even be involved in that. I don't think VAR should be telling them to go and have a look at it. I think that the ref should be able to make the decision himself and say, I'm not sure of that, and I'm going to stop the game and I'm going to go have a look at it. I'd be quite comfortable with that. Don't understand how adding another subjective view to a subjective game, making someone who's made a subjective view question their subjective decision, is a linear line to getting process success. It makes no sense to me. But if we use the Thierry Henry against Ireland to take Ireland out of the World Cup, that's where VAR is meant to be used. That was the purpose of it. That was the uproar. You know, it's for the Diego Maradonas. It's for the hands of fucking God. It's for, you know, the ball getting kicked into someone's knees and then them rolling around on the floor grabbing their face. That was what VAR was brought in to fix. not to fucking go and micromanage every single foul on the fucking pitch and remove any organic joy that is derived from football. And let me just say this. Football is a very, very, very... There's not many games. I don't think there's any games in the world that are like football, because we might get 1 or 2 goals per game in 90 minutes. And it is fucking tantric, right? It is built up. It is this long, protracted desire to see a goal, and the ball bulges into the back of the net, and the crowd hits, and everyone hits, and that is football. That is what makes football different. It's not basketball. It's not 94-92. It's not rugby. It's not 36-6. It's 1-0. And if you remove that piece of unbridled joy, we don't get the opportunity to get that again 10 more fucking times in a game and forget that happened because we got other bits of joy. It's fucking garbage. It's ruining football. And if they don't change it, they're going to lose a generation of football fans. And this is why I've got friends who are now following a championship team, because there's no fucking VAR in the championship.
Do you believe he's got friends?
Not one bit. I honestly think they're just made up friends, you know.
Yeah.
Someone called Jack Daniel, and we know who that is, don't we, really? Let's face it. You know, that ain't a real person.
So, can we move on? Anything else?
Cool. Yeah. No. I think we've done VAR. I think I agree. We all agree. Same sentiment. It's got to stop. You know, I thought the only, not funny, but the worst one of the weekend was the guy's his 9th Premier League outing as a referee, gives a goal and then gets called back, and it's one of the most senior referees we've got who's in charge of VAR that's basically said to him, "You've made a mistake, change your decision." And yet when you look at it on the screen, you're thinking, no, you didn't. You know, and it's and because he's young, how's he going to be in the future? He's going to be frightened to make decisions because he's been overruled. Anyway, move on, please, Max. Move on.
I have
and
a
next
question.
week I promise to be prepared and have some questions myself.
I have a question to ask both of you, and it's about William Saliba, and it's about how we manage the inevitable drop in form that will come, because that's what happens with young players, especially young centre-backs. Now, for me, in Ben White, I thought he was our best centre-back last year. People loved Gabriel. Gabriel's all action, and he scores the goals and does all of those things. But for me, Ben White was the glue. Now, Ben White's been pushed out into right back, where I think he's been excellent. I've had no qualms about him being out there. But if you speak to someone like Big Steve said that this sort of stuff was going to start to happen. Big Steve said pre-season that if you'd watched enough of Saliba and if you'd watched enough of him in France, his positional awareness wasn't amazing. His reading of the game wasn't amazing. And his athleticism and his size dug him out of a lot of holes. But in big games, he wouldn't necessarily be full of confidence that Saliba would make the right decision at the right time. Darren, considering we've got Tomiyasu coming back, who everyone seems to have just forgotten how good he was when he was in form last season, do you think there is a moment or a time for Arteta to pull Saliba out of the firing line a little bit and put Ben White back into centre-back?
I think we'll see it naturally. Just on the last point you made there about Tomiyasu, I think we have to really look at the games that we've played so far and realise that Ben White is doing such a good job at right back. That position is actually his own at the moment. You know, he's controlling that side. He's defending really well. He's linking the attack really well. So there's absolutely no reason to do what you're saying do. But I think it's going to be natural. We're starting to play 2 games a week now for the next, God knows, 6 weeks. There will be changes. If you listen, they talk about they play different partnerships in training all of the time. So they're getting ready for when they need to make those changes. I think you'll see it naturally. I think Holding will come in for the Europa League, and maybe he'll play with Ben White at centre half. Saliba will get a rest, you know. But I don't see it as an issue, and I don't see that drop in form from Saliba. I think he's a very simple player. I wasn't too enamored with Gabriel when everybody else was, just because I thought he had mistakes in him. I didn't think technically he was good enough.
I just think they're a bit similar.
That still worries me, but he's got better. He's learning the Premier League, and his determination and his enthusiasm and his size and his goal scoring mean he's a great asset to the side. Saliba at the moment, I think, just looks like he's got a very, very simple game. And when your game is very, very simple, there's not that much that can go wrong with it.
I thought he got caught out, and I think he can get caught out a bit square-shouldered. And I think Gabriel is also a bit square-shouldered. You know, both of those goals, the guy who gets back there, the recovery tackle, the guy who reads it best. Yes, it's from right back, but it's Ben White.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I saw from him last season. Is his vision, the way he sees the maps of the pitch, is far superior to both Gabriel and to
Can I just
Saliba.
say, I know we want to hear Scunny's view on this as well, but don't you see, Max, that it almost is within your question? Is what I see more is if there is that person to take out of that, it's possibly Gabriel, and we keep Saliba, you know, and put Ben White alongside him. I mean, I think that's how good Saliba looks in these early days. And yes, he may drop in form, but he looks a real athlete with a real simple game. And I think, you know, Ben White alongside him, we may just have the calmest, coolest, strongest centre half pairing in the Premier League.
Scunny?
I'm quite content with Saliba, if I'm being honest. I think he's doing really well. Yeah, you know, he has got mistakes in him, but I'd say that on any defender, they've got mistakes in him. You know, there's not one defender I can think of in the Premier League that hasn't got that little mistake in him that can happen. You know, even Van Dijk has them mistakes. But I'm not comparing him to Van Dijk. What I'm saying is obviously their mistakes happen. And yes, I agree with the fact that he can be quite square-shouldered. He does get turned a little bit, but I think he's got the speed and the pace and the power to contradict that.
Unless it's Rashford in behind you, and then you're done.
Well, yeah, well, you know, I think it's just one of them things, isn't it? When you're a defender and there's 3 to 4 of you in defence, you know, you're trying to work as a team and you're trying to build as a team, you know. And I think, you know, you could look at, I think Gabriel as well was at fault for one of the goals with Ronaldo. You know, he played on, I think it was Ronaldo, you know, he was playing on Ronaldo. He didn't push the line high enough. So, you know, you can look at that one. It's just, you know, they are a young squad. He is new to the Premier League. He's just sort, you know, he's only just finding his feet within Arsenal at the moment. So being in these big games, being in these tough games as well that we've been in over the last few games have been quite tough. It's only going to make him better. And not only that, yes, we've got Tomiyasu coming back, but it's nice to think we've actually got quite a well-rounded defence now where we can think, we can put this person, we can take this person out for this game, we can put this person in for this game. You know, it only looks good for Arsenal now, and it only looks good. It's better for Arteta because when you look at it last season, we didn't really have that much of an options.
The centre-back who sticks out now is Rob Holding, who I really like. I really like Rob Holding.
I like Rob Holding.
In a defensive system, but in this system, you know, you're never going to be able to progress like that with Rob Holding there. He'll get fucking killed. He'll get murdered. This is it,
you see, and you know, and you got to look at the different aspects that these players bring. You know, Tomiyasu is very good at pushing forward. You know, Ben White has been doing that really well over these last few games. You know, so I agree with Darren in that aspect. You can't really take this guy out of being in this position at the minute because he's playing so well. But it's, you know, Tomiyasu's got that in his locker as well. He can do it pretty much exactly the same as Ben White in a back 4, for example, rather than a back 3. But you've also got to look at Zinchenko as well. You know, what he's brought into this season, or what is this different aspect that he's brought into this defence. In the case of, obviously, he doesn't always just push forward like a natural left back. He pushes inside. It gives a different option. You know, he comes inside to the pitch. It leaves it as a back 3.
Well, I think Zinchenko has been the trigger to Xhaka playing better this season.
I agree with that.
You know, because he's just removed that fear that Xhaka had of every time he pushed forward that he was going to have to fucking turn like a jumbo jet and get back.
And
you know, I saw.
Can I just quick? Sorry, Darren.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say
Mike,
quick. I wasn't here when we first. Well, I didn't. Obviously, I haven't got a webcam. I've been on holiday, and I've also had COVID and everything. So I hadn't really had my say on the and the Russians and everything. So I hadn't really had my say on the new signings and stuff like that. But you know, I know a lot of people were very excited with Gabriel, but when I heard about Zinchenko signing, I was more excited about him coming in than I was Gabriel Jesus, if I'm being honest, because I thought that is a steal from Manchester City. That, and the little list price that we paid, I think it was almost like 30, 35 million. I think that is an absolute steal. And I think they've really let a really good player go there, and it's only in our benefit. And it's
And I think
working out so far really well.
He's shown the deficiencies in Kieran Tierney as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, like Darren said last week when KT came on, it wasn't that there was such a massive disparity between them. You very quickly saw that you missed the technicality that Zinchenko brought.
Yeah. And I love how cool and calm and collected he is on the ball as well. And he's not afraid to run forward. He's not afraid just to absolutely bolt it and come to a dead stop and then pass it and move the ball forward in different ways. And I really like that of a player. And I honestly thought he was a very good player when he came to Man City, and you saw him coming through the ranks there. So to get him from there and at such a low price, I think is an absolute steal. And I think it's going to benefit us in the long run as well. So I like that.
It's also great having Tierney to come in when we're winning a game. It's a great position to have a very good, strong left back come in and secure it up a little bit.
Oh,
when
hugely.
We talk about bringing Holding back to go to 5 at the back, but when you can just bring Tierney in and you've got a really solid back 4 there, things are looking really good. And you've got to remember that Tierney, along with Partey and Tomiyasu, have been pretty injury prone. Tomiyasu's hardly played since Christmas.
Exactly, and this is the thing, and this little option that we have now, and this depth that we have in the defence with all these different players and these different versatile players who could play in so many different ways, it benefits us massively. And I think it's going to come into its own when we start seeing through the later stages of the Europa League as well as in the Premier League.
Well, you need that. You need that to finish top 4 and be competitive in competitions. You need to have depth, but you also need to have versatility. I think one of the issues we've had in the past is, for example, when Tomiyasu came out, you go into Cedric. That's just a completely different game plan. It's a completely different player, and it involves changing the structures of the team entirely. So what we were saying last week, Mike, was that Ben White is actually playing that role quite similar to Tomiyasu. There's both of them aren't necessarily going to overlap, which means they don't squeeze Saka inside, which takes away Ødegaard's time. So I agree with you completely. Look, maybe I'm creating problems where problems don't exist, but I think that central defensive position looks better with either Saliba and Gabriel and Ben White once that becomes apparent. That would be my preference, is all I'm saying. I think Ben White is superior to both of them.
I think as a centre half, he was good last year, and it's taken him a year to sort of get Arsenal. It wasn't very easy when he joined Arsenal, was it? We lost the first 3 games last season. It was a difficult start, and he got better and better. He did get better and better, but at the moment, I see absolutely nothing wrong with it. I don't see any of these problems that you've got. I think Saliba looks excellent. I think Ben White looks excellent at right back. Gabriel's having a better season than he's had since he joined the club. And we've got 2 really good options at left back, and Zinchenko's been magnificent. That's not where our issues have been. That's really not.
Darren, a lot of talk on Twitter today, though I did try and keep my nose out of it because there's just some fucking ridiculousness on there. But a lot of people talking about wanting to swap, and good, well-known pundits as well, talking about wanting to swap Lokonga and Xhaka for this period of time and play Xhaka in the 6 and let Lokonga play in the 8. Now, I assume that's because Lokonga is so good on the ball and doesn't have that same sort of positional, or hasn't developed that positional security yet. But I never want to see Xhaka in a deep-lying position for Arsenal again as long as I live. I'm just wondering what your thoughts were.
I think the criticism of Lokonga is strange because, we watch him. I've been watching him a little bit more carefully because he's filling in as third choice in that position. And I actually think he's played pretty well. I mean, I did get drunker as the game went on Sunday. So it was a little bit less detailed on their goals. And I haven't been able to watch the game back because I hate knowing the end of what's going to happen at the end of the book. So I found it difficult to enjoy looking back. But I think he's played very well. So no, I wouldn't change it. I think Xhaka's had a new lease of life. He's linking things up very well. And you can swap Xhaka and Vieira, and you can swap Ødegaard and Vieira. That would be nice to see when we've got a little bit of breathing space in a game. But I'm right. Xhaka was caught through his pace at that position. Lokonga looks a little bit more nimble to me. And let's give him a run in the side, because he was a good player when he first joined us. It's just that he was a good player in a very, very weak side. Now this side is stronger, it's got more organisation, everyone knows what their jobs are. He shouldn't be left exposed, and he's got a great range of passing. I think he's going to be a good player.
Scunny, Lukonga has said that he wants to be a 6. He's been a 6 essentially his entire life. He's never really been an 8 before. Is this the time now for us to just develop him? This is an opportunity to develop him. Should Arsenal take the opportunity and develop him as a 6? Because he is only going to get better with the more games he plays, the same way we saw Eddie get better towards the end of last season.
I think we should leave it alone and do what carry on doing, doing what Arteta's doing. To be honest with you, he obviously knows better than what we do. He sees him in that better position and sees him where he is now and where he played him. Like Darren said, he is our third choice midfielder. So these game times are going to come few and far between. He needs to take this opportunity and relish these opportunities to try and keep Partey out. I think trying to chop and change this midfield over just one game, I think it's ridiculous. Xhaka, we've all said, none of us, I don't think any of us here, or even throughout ArseBros, have been Xhaka's biggest fan ever. I don't even know many people that would say Xhaka is the best player at Arsenal or this, that, or the other, or anything, anything like that ever. All I've ever heard throughout most of his career at Arsenal is he's crap, is this, that, and the other. But this season so far, and I think towards the back end of last season, you have seen a new lease of life in him. I think he has got better. And I think the fact that we've got new players and better players around him, the gelling more together because I've had a bit more time together from last season to the start of this season. We've had a proper pre-season this year. And I think it has brought a new lease of life in him. And we're seeing the best of Xhaka I think we've ever seen. So to turn around and say that we need to change him here, there, and everywhere and put him in the position that no one really wants him in, and I don't even think Arteta wants him in that position either, is ridiculous.
Absolutely. Darren, it was our first glimpse of the new Vieira. Look, people went ballistic. The Twitter, someone fucking put up, Arteta's got a real problem because he's clearly better than Ødegaard, which I commented. That is total and utter bollocks. Please shut the fuck up. Got a glimpse of him. Technical player, interesting player. Did he stand out to you? Was it something you were excited to see?
I think what I like about what Arteta's done is he's got players who can play football. You referenced the Invincible side and that era where we had some really good technical players from 1 to 11. They could all hold the ball and they could all pass the ball, and a lot of first-time passing. Gradually, we're removing the Cedrics and the Kolasinac and these sort of players that, Aubameyang. I've even forgotten what was our other centre forward called. He's gone already. Number 9, Lacazette. None of these were very good footballers. They weren't players that. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. They all had their skill set, but Arteta has created a team of footballers. And then it's nice when you're watching us play out from the back now that we can all. There's no panic. We're all pretty good. They're all pretty good on the ball. They're all comfortable. And Vieira, from the very, very short cameo that we saw, looks like one of those players, happy to receive the ball. And the first one since Santi Cazorla that seems to be able to take it from either position with his back to goal and turn towards goal in one movement and give himself some room. And he had a couple of shots, didn't he? And he played some good balls through. It's very, very early days, but so it's just a message there from DWTT. I like the small bits I saw from Vieira. Came on ready to shoot. Haven't seen that this season since Jesus came on shooting in pre-season. And I think, that's sort of where we are with this, is that we've got a young, enthusiastic player who looks like he could be really good. And I'll just remind you of the comment of Edu when they said, how proud are you to have enabled the signing of Gabriel Jesus? And he said, you haven't seen Vieira yet. And that was his comment, so he thinks he's found the missing piece of the puzzle. So I'm excited by it. I'm surprised he hasn't got more game time if he's as good as we think. And I expect him to start on Thursday night. This Thursday we're playing. I expect him to start in that game, and then we can have a really good look at him.
Scunny, final thoughts before I wrap it all up?
Yeah, I think on the Vieira front, I think we just got to give it. Don't forget, he is new. Let's give him some time. But from the little snippets that we saw of him on against Manchester United, he does look good. So let's just give him some time. Let's not do the Arsenal thing and just jump on him straight away. Let's give him that breathing space. Let's give him that time. Also, again, I'm just going to go back to when we go. Sorry, excuse me. For the signings this year, because I've not actually been on any other podcast and I've not really said anything about it. I've not been disappointed with any signing this year from Arteta and Edu. I think every signing that we've made this season has been very, very thought of.
I think you
very
could say
needed.
that about last season as well. So this is some
there
very
is,
strong windows back to back, and not going and buying fucking garbage and paying £90 million for people.
It's
in
that
transfer windows.
That panic buying, and I think so far it's been refreshing not to see that panic buying. There's always been that backup option from someone, because I don't think Zinchenko was actually the first choice for them. I think he was their second choice. And in all honesty, sorry, Darren's talking. You're on mute. You're on mute,
Darren.
All I
Cancer
said was
of the fucking brain now.
it was Martinez was first choice. He went to Manchester United, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Who was quite good, Darren. I
very
liked
good.
him. You were right.
He was okay. I didn't think he was brilliant, Martinez, and I thought, I'm glad in some respect we didn't get him in that respect. Obviously, if we're going to go on that one, just so I can go on quick, I'm glad we didn't get him, because I think that shorter centre back, I just don't think ever suited Arsenal having a short centre back.
I think
something that you said before, Max, about having these short centre backs within like Vermaelen and stuff like that. It's never ever suited Arsenal to have a short centre back. We've always, every time we've done well in a season, we've had some big bastards in centre back, and that's when we've done well in seasons. And I think like getting back to that and getting to these people and getting these big centre backs that can basically rough people up, and it suits Arsenal better than what it did the short of centre backs like Vermaelen and Koscielny and stuff.
I agree. I do think though that we were buying Martinez as a left back who could slip. Look, the role that's
I agree there.
Somebody that could slip into midfield, but United needed centre backs, and he looks tiny. He's 5'9". The Premier League's a tough place. They will leak goals in certain areas because he is so short. I think Arsenal's plan was to have him as a left back that could slip into midfield.
Just wait until Haaland puts his fucking goblin cock inside him. He will fucking destroy him.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that day in some respect.
He will fucking destroy him. Fucking it.
Well, I don't think it's just going to be him either.
Jizz in his bum and a very, very funny walk.
I think Tony from Brentford, I think you're going to see a really good little fight there between Martinez and Tony. So I think that's going to be an interesting one to see as well. So,
all right. Well, we've done an hour. We haven't been depressed or upset. I think for most sensible Arsenal fans that I've spoken to, they're not displeased with it. I think most people can walk off there and say, we went for it and we didn't get it. And as we said before, sometimes have to take your penis out of your pants. You can't just have your penis inside your pants all of the time. You've got to take it out. You've got to let people see it. Because how will people know how big it is if you don't show it to them, right? Like you could go around and say to everyone, oh, I've got a massive knob, right? I've got these big fucking hairy, voluminous, perfectly circular testicles. But if you don't fucking show it, then no one's going to know. And you know what Arteta did? He showed everyone his penis. And yes,
unfortunately, it was a cold day in the north.
Yeah, no, well, it was a bit. Maybe it was a bit nubbly, Mike. Maybe it was a bit nubbly, or maybe it was a slightly misshapen penis, or maybe it was a bad circumcision. Like that bloke in all the porn who's got that horrible 2 inches of fucking weird additional cock. Anyone who watches lots of porno, they'll fucking know what I'm talking about. That cunt with the hedgehog dick. But definitely,
Jesus Christ, man.
Arteta showed everyone his penis. And we've seen it now. And the Premier League has seen it. And I think people are afraid of Arteta's dick. That's what I think.
The only thing I can say on top of that one is showed him his big hairy Spanish balls, and unfortunately, it just didn't work, did it, this time round?
He did. All right, boys. We'll see you next time. Good night. Bollocks, that's a fucking flag. Hold on.
Fucked it.
Good night.
This is an ArseBrothers production. Follow us on Twitter at the ArseBrothers. Get all our content on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and SoundCloud at ArseBros. And if you like what you hear, don't forget to smash that subscribe button.